going to leave it open. That is definitely Talia Chicken lost by SKT. They can't afford too many more losses.
But I mean, how? She's so damn strong. Camille is going to be the ban here. Speaking of so damn strong, very, very different pickups here, as that's a very fast Shen to be locked in for SKT this time.
He is open. What does that mean?
As
in the first
is
series,
Tarek.
not much. But in this series, who knows? Looking to Afreeca, who haven't locked in the Vladimir yet, but would make some sense. The triple flex could potentially come through. Could just lock in Tarek and send us over to Gimmick Town. What is his decision going to be? Keen taking his time. Will it just be the Vladimir? It is a power flex pick. They will stick with it. So for now, at least, the Vladimir taken. Afreeca Freecs.
Is it going to be a jungler who's come in here for Spirit as well? I mean, he could go with the Graves, set themselves up for some more skirmish power, but what do they leave open? Zinzao is an option into the Graves that can work out quite well. Did see that earlier on. A lot to think about here. 2 seconds to go, and Spirit hasn't even hovered anything just yet. The Yasuo is going to be picked up with the Vladimir already in hand. Does make a lot of sense. Still a heck of a lot of flex.
Taking them together, like you mentioned, both of them can be played in the bot lane role as the carry in that particular lane. So a lot of flexibility here. Speaking of flexibility, everything's a flex pick. Patch 8-11, throw in a cheeky Lulu. Was a bit of an irony that Faker was the hard carry and Bang was the Lulu after so many great successful seasons for SKT, where Faker's Lulu was what it was all talked about. Could be Faker on Lulu this time.
Do they want to be
do they want to
denying
Skarner,
all the knockups?
I don't know if they want a Skarner. That one is an unsure choice on the side of SKT.
The jungle lock-in would make some sense here, but with 5 seconds to go, we'll see what Faker decides to do. The Ahri certainly would be a Faker pick, and it looks like it is no, it's not. Oh, okay, Skarner going to be picked up once again, and he didn't even switch to something good. He switched to Skarner.
Does feel like a bit of the lump of coal from Santa situation here.
It really did. And that, after he was dangling the sickest Hot Wheels car ever, and then he's like, oh, actually no coal. Oh, unfortunate.
Well, our jungle matchup might be a little bit more standard here, as the Trundle seems to be picked up. So
that being said, I do love setting up Last Breath with pillars.
The jungle Trundle on this side. As you say, a nice enabler that's kind of left of center when you think of your mind for knockups, but of course the pillar does count as that. And I love the Renekton ban coming in. It looks cheeky, but Tal and Crazy and other people have been playing Essence Reaver, Renekton, and solo queue, most famous for having about 4.5 seconds of CC, because you're able to just pop the ultimate and then basically get infinite resets on your Ruthless Predator. So it's a fun choice. Jomarn again over at TOP Gaming. I'm waiting for that Renekton mod. Please send it back to me with love to Korea. But Renekton ban in this particular case.
Oh man, yeah, the W synergy with that passive.
Because remember, it counts as multiple autos as well. 2 or 3, depending on how much Fury you have. It's actually pretty good.
And it means that you just charge up ultimate Qs as well. So, I mean, you got one target. You can have the rest of the team wailing on you. It doesn't even matter. But it doesn't matter. It's going to be banned away anyway, so no point in talking about it. The Alistar taken away understandably here from Tucson.
Support is one role you can clearly identify that they're looking for, so 2 of the big, strong meta supports. Now, it feels like Alistar Fiddle are kind of the S-tier laning with bruiser supports, because they can allow for all-ins and also have the hard CC, and Vladimir and Yasuo don't have any damage fall-off, that's for sure.
Yep.
So I like the bans there. A lot of the strong supports are taken off the board. Expecting support at this pick. Could, I guess, be a Trundle support, but we're thinking just a standard support going to come here. And what about a Tucson special, bringing back his famous Rakan?
Yeah, Rakan picked up, so even more knockups, even more CC availability here for the Afreeca Freecs.
And now SKT have to show us, what about a Lucian? Because Bang is a famous Lucian player. Lucian's available, could just be Lucian Lulu on their side if they want it. Doesn't feel the greatest against Yasuo's win wall, but it's something you can consider. Or what about some bruisers? This would be a flex pick. First thought, of course, is the top lane. And Darius will be locked in.
AD carry could also be picked up here, unless Bang wants to be playing that Darius as well, or if he wants to play the Lulu once again. It all will sort of fall into place here for SKT, but which place does it fall into? Not entirely sure. 7 seconds to go. Wolf hasn't made up his mind, but he has trolled us in the past, so let's wait until the very last second before we work out exactly what's going to be played. The Gangplank is going to be locked in, so that looks like a tile pick.
And Darius mid lane.
Darius mid lane? Or is it going to be Darius AD carry?
It's true. All these things are very, very possible. It's hard to tell. This is a champion you and I were discussing yesterday. I feel like Akali in some matchups is possible.
We're actually discussing it this morning, Papa. That was just a long time ago.
Locking it in is a different thing, and the Aatrox already been proven. It's going to be Aatrox versus Darius again, but that's a really big if, given how much swaps can happen. 20 seconds is a godsend for casters because you can waste so much breath, and we can't waste too much breath, Atlas. We still have another best of 3.
We do.
A third one of the day.
And it's Jin Air playing as well, so we've got to strap ourselves in for some potentially very long games.
Let's
Even
see what
in this meta, I still don't trust Jin Air.
Aiming has played bot lane Aatrox.
Now
And Darius has been played in all 3 roles for SKT as well.
Look at what Afreeca are doing, though. They're just waiting for as long as they can with jungle Yasuo Hobbit.
All right, it's going to be mid lane Yasuo. Darius dunks Yasuo in many lanes. How will this go? Because they do actually cement our first mid lane Darius. That was my expectation.
Yeah.
They kind of gambled, but the swap has actually happened. Now it's Vladimir mid lane.
Yep.
Okay.
So Kuro and Aiming did switch. I think it was at 20 seconds.
I hope so.
Otherwise, yeah, we could, I don't know, do we get a punishment? Do we even play the game? Do we reset the game? I'm not entirely sure.
We got a lot of stuff going on here. We need
Doesn't look
confirmation,
like
please. We need an adult, please. Referee, what is happening?
No. But it is going to be another Yasuo picked up here, and it's going to be Kuro that's the one wielding it in the mid lane this time around. Sorry, no. It's going to be Aiming wielding it on the bottom side of the map. I tell a lie, as that swap did come in. How does the Darius-Vladimir matchup go, though, Papa?
I mean, Darius gets kind of frustrated by getting queued a lot.
I feel like if you all-in, like, it pulls on cooldown ever, though.
Interesting mechanic is that Q and the pull are about the same range, but we'll talk about it more if we're getting into game.
Yep, exactly right. So game number 2 coming right up, ladies and gentlemen. Afreeca Freecs taking on SKT. Can SKT bring us to a game number 3? Give us a 6-game dream to start us off. Let's see what happens as we get onto the Rift. SKT fans in full voice, hoping that they can keep this series alive. Afreeca looking like they have almost everything that they want, though, from this draft.
Is Lulu going bot lane? Is a question we're not 100% sure of when you see Relic Shield Darius. It could just be that Skarner's going to pop in, he's going to get some Relic stacks and get through, or they could just run Faker in the bot lane if they wanted to. It's gone Ghost Flash.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Don't see why you wouldn't.
It's a really weird meta where you need to be flexible. It feels like even lane assignments, we've seen bot lane players have to go top lane, and I think Bang's going mid lane.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Well,
the moment that is where he is, so let's confirm it. When it does eventually happen, Blank's going to be starting topside here as well with Tal helping him out. And Wolf moving down.
Yep, it's happening.
Darius Shen versus Rakan Yasuo. How does that go, Papa?
So let's just talk about how the draft went before we zoom in on a more pertinent question.
I just wanted to ask you a question about a lane that you've never had to talk about.
Just think about what happened in this draft. SKT cemented the Darius because there would have been discussion of, well, what if it isn't Yasuo? And this is the what if. This is the plan B. This is what happened, is that they had to be comfortable going further flex, and that is Faker playing his first ever competitive duo bot lane game as Darius.
This is the world we live in, and what a beautiful, wonderful world it is. As SKT are currently zoning the Afreeca Freecs out of this bottom lane.
You know how we mentioned that AD carry players had to adapt, how you had to now play Vlad and be primary initiate. Maybe you had to be Yasuo and side lane and split push, something they hadn't had to do since the Vayne days of Season 2. Playing mid lane, which is a completely different context to bot lane.
Yeah.
The texture of the lane is completely different. You don't have a support. It's a short lane. There's many different things about it. That was one we didn't include. Now you have to damn lane swap.
Well, at the moment, Aiming hasn't been able to pick up any farm at all, so it's working out a treat for SKT in the early laning phase.
And let's talk about the why. What did we talk about earlier in the day when we had Lulu versus Vladimir in the duo lane? It's that that's a lane that Lulu will be able to pressure And that's the same choice in the 1v1. It's all about getting the pressure onto the Vladimir, and that's what solo lane Lulu can do. If it works in the 2v2 lane with a support, it's the same story in a short lane in mid.
And now the Rift Scuttler is going to be gifted over to Blank because lane priority was certainly in the hands of the Darius Shen, and the Trundle had to just concede, give that one up. But aiming now with an opportunity to pick up level 2, pick up some farm, do what he can to try and claw his way into this.
We're going to talk about Scuttle Crabs. That's the most interesting thing to show us information about. It's madness on the Rift. Bang's in the mid lane.
Yeah. But hey, there's Rift Scuttlers.
And they come a little bit later after that.
I know. Well, the Troll is going to be able to take one on the top side of the map, and Faker doing some roaming into the mid lane by the looks of things. The Apprehend gank, haven't seen that one for a while, but this isn't Predator Darius this time.
I mean, if you got successfully Roam Ghost Flash Darius ganked by bot lane Darius, I think you'd be tilted.
Yeah, I definitely would, especially if he took Predator and didn't have boots. That would be the best. Didn't even have a keystone that was doing anything.
Well, his Relic Shield's doing things. We were successfully able to notice that double Relic Shield. Do the observers swap him to the bot lane role? Do we actually have the scoreboard adjustment? That's the question.
I was going to ask whether Kuro maybe swaps down to the bot lane as well, because Aiming's had to just suffer through this laning phase so far, or are they hoping for a timing? With Tucson being able to pick up all of his buttons, having the battle dance, being able to get himself in there, tries to get the knock up, but it's not really working. That's the exhaust onto Faker, but is that going to happen? I don't think so. As Aiming, he's down very, very low, has to flash to get out of the way. That is going to be the passive ticking, but not quite enough damage as Faker now doesn't have his flash or the Ghost, and Spirit's made his way in.
And there's a one range champion in bot lane, so you might think, oh, what about the Rakan? It's not really a true range champion, and we've already outlined the champ select. They just wanted Darius against Yasuo somewhere, and the last second swap is why Faker is playing bot lane to get the Darius winning matchup into Yasuo. Can hold Yasuo accountable like few other champions can, and also out-duel him in standing trades. In that case, used both summoners because he thought he might be able to pick up a cheeky kill. Aiming had walked forward because his jungler was in position.
We've switched it.
Nice.
Observers just did it. I think that the Korean casters just asked for it on the broadcast as well, so thank you very much, guys.
Asking you shall receive. Bot lane hiding on bush. Hiding on bot, I guess, in this game is Faker.
Yep.
He's going to go visit that lane and keep putting up the farm, and I got to say, already doubling his opponent's CS. Classic Faker bot.
Classic Faker bot lane. Every Faker bot lane game I've seen in competitive so far, he's done this.
He's been a master of bot lane as long as I've known him in bot lane.
Yeah. It's outstanding. How is he this good?
Doesn't even need heal.
Every time.
What an alpha. No heal needed.
These are stats that I can get around, Bob Smithy.
We mentioned facetious talk. This is only the beginning still. It's only the second day of the season, Atlas.
It was always going to happen. Another Rift Scuttler is here, and Spirit actually isn't going to spot Blank doing it. You can see the swap does come in. Darkflight is in there for Keen, but he's not going to find any engage on Carl. Sort of feeling some pressure here as the Aatrox, but he's well and truly ahead when it comes to that farm, and Bang is going to take himself a Crystal Spire, and that is going to mean that Keen might have to move away.
Dropping on 8-11, we've said a couple of times, not about where the game is at 40 minutes, very much about counter picks. This is one of them, Atlas.
Okay, yeah, there's the Darkflight. He doesn't even need to land it, and even if he died here, it wouldn't be a problem. Because,
actually,
no, the passive!
He'd die.
Oh, the last caster, the caster minion shot there, because he didn't have his blood active. My God.
Calculated.
Woohoo! That's why you press your potion buttons,
I couldn't even get to my point because I decided not to go direct to it, but the cost of saying we want Darius against Yasuo anywhere is that they had to deal with a huge counter-pick to Gangplank in the Aatrox, getting the 1v1. This is where Afreeca was winning, and they're winning sticky because they got the kill.
Oh my goodness. Tries to get some health back with the W, but decides that instead he's just going to run the hell away from those minions.
And look, Faker's mid, so they swapped it again.
They did. So it's now the swap that we've seen in patches past, certainly, trying to get the right matchups, but often it's top to mid instead of bot to mid. Just means that the experience is going to be so confusing.
Also the post-match thread. Where are they going to put Faker and where are they going to put Bang?
Hey, that's true.
Take that, Reddit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking Reddit after this.
Well,
challenges for everyone today, Papa.
I guess now it's normalcy. I actually did inverted
Yeah, you did
commas
the inverted
in real
commas.
life.
I feel like we need to pop the camera over to the casters here as SKT have shoved this wave forward and Faker is moving down. Good control ward is going to spot out the Darius on his way over and Kuro immediately comes in. Spirit waiting in the wings as well. So no opportunities for the Afreeca Freecs to get themselves too much more, but aiming struggling to pick up this farm underneath the turret. You can see struggling to pick up any farm at all actually. 20 CS behind his opposite numbers, sort of, I guess. I don't know. Is it Darius? Is it Lulu?
Tar would very much like to ult another lane and continue to not see Keen in his lane because...
Keen isn't in his lane. He's counter-jungling Blank.
Yeah. Gotta mention that it's 2 games of that Skarner that's, I don't know, huffing and puffing and not really blowing anything down.
Yeah. Oh, look at him. I'm gonna take my...
Where's my blue? And my wolves.
Yeah, I think Blank was like, I'll take my blue. Oh, now I'll take my wolves.
Well,
never mind.
The value gromp.
He got the value gromp, that is certain. And then we'll have to truck all the way over to the Raptor camp. Faker. Big minion wave pick up here in the mid lane as Kuro gone for a bit of an old school build here with the revolver already picked up. Proto Belt looking like it is going to be the first choice. And is this Predator Vladimir? We mentioned the fact that he does have a lot of flexibility in the keystones that he can go for. This is the Predator variant for starting the fights a little bit more handedly.
Small thing about this is that Proto Belt doesn't get, just I guess I'll back up. You do have the negative movement speed percentage when you start stacking too much of it. So between Predator and another movement speed item like Shirelia's, you hit the cap very early.
Yeah.
But compared to that Proto Belt, of course, it's just a movement ability. So it doesn't interact the same way. So I guess that's the argument. I think it's a lot about kind of whatever the way, whichever way you tilt, whatever you kind of feel is the way. We've seen Spellbinder first and Shirelia's first. We've seen lots of different options when it comes to Vladimir, but the Proto Belt is an old favorite, and you do get the early Kindle gem to just kind of stop you being turret dived at any point.
Yeah, you can sort of do what you want outside of Predator if you're deciding to go with the Spellbinder into Shirelia's because the movement speed is not as much of a big deal. But interesting to know what they want to do. Yeah, he is. So we've switched it up again. We're probably not going to have to keep you too updated on where everyone's going at all times because
the observer's feeling the pressure because they know this game will be scrutinized for all times.
Yeah,
well, I guess we have to swap it.
Yep. What's going to happen in the late game? We're going to have to switch everyone around. How do we put everyone bottom lane? Oh,
the slippery slope of 8-11
yeah.
finds another victim, the observers.
The OGN observer actually had a heart attack today. Didn't know how to put everyone in the bottom lane.
Well, Faker's back mid. Come on, observer, catch up.
Oh, look, Kuro's spinning things around as well. The Hemomancer and the Darius in the mid lane. Darius mid in competitive play. Absolutely beautiful. I'm glad that we saw this time.
Well, everyone's bot now, including Faker. Blank popped his Predator, but Spirit's in the right spot. He is ahead of the action. Hasn't been the explosive Nocturne, but hasn't had to be on the Trundle so far.
Extremely high value control ward there as well, saving the life of the bottom lane over and over again.
And Keen, the top lane, is going for a bit of everything. If you look at his build path here, a Phage, a Rageblade, and a Titanic or Ravenous Hydra.
And bits of all of them at the same time.
Just power. It's basically saying, cool cull you have there. I'm going to wait and turret dive you when my flash is up, and it's up now, so it's pretty scary times.
Yeah, maybe he just like decided that he wanted to put a recurve bow in amongst building a Titanic Hydra, which is certainly what he's done, as the Durham's Fist is going to be his next purchase. Control ward there to fill out the rest of his available slots. 6-item Aatrox, everyone, if you'll observe. He's got a heck of a lot of farm here as well. Everybody else just running around the map and gangplanking an awful matchup in the hands of Tal means that Keen certainly eclipsing everyone.
Not really leading to a gold lead. Klepto and also having the double relic has kind of closed the gold gap a little bit between the two teams, but the CS lead certainly does make good viewing as Kuro's all alone.
Yep, he's going to flash very, very oh, the flash prehend from Faker doesn't quite find the mark.
That range was not far away. That was about a quarter of a Teemo away from hitting, I think, about 25 range outside of that. So the Ghost Flash proved necessary. So just the Flash, actually. It was Flash from Kuro just getting him away. It looked like a Ghost Flash.
Oh no, is Faker moving bot lane again? Observer, he doesn't have too many more of these swaps left in him, guys. It's a worry.
I'm sure he regrets the first swap.
Keen is going to be taking his own Ripper.
Now he's counter-junkling his own jungle. What an alpha this Korean representative top is. He was over at the Asia Games, and people kind of turned their heads and said, what about Smab? He's pretty good.
Oh, heck yeah, he is.
This guy tops, if you know what I mean.
Well, he's had brilliant performances twice in a row, if you include half of this game as being twice in a row. And I say half in a greedy sense, assuming that the game is going to be over at 26 minutes. But guys, most of them are over at about 26 minutes.
Tal just hoping for the game to go longer. Trinity forced to ult other lanes. He's found no other lanes to ult. He's quite frustrated about that.
Yeah. Well, Protobelt's done here for Kuro. And as far as notable item spikes are concerned, we've got Aiming completing his Phantom Dancer as well. Wants to go for his Infinity Edge to really get everything sorted out.
What do you think Keen wants to go for?
Killing everyone. Potentially at the same time.
He's showing a lot of restraint, and that's not straight up turret dive from Tal, I gotta mention. But
well, he did just do that.
They have a pretty insane pressure valve on the top side, and all the Darius swapping around the Yasuo hasn't really been able to do too much when it's to shut down Aiming. CS is behind, but certainly not on life support or anything. Has found him down to a pretty decent time.
Yeah, and sort of like clawed his way back after what was an awful experience in the early stages of the lane.
So we go back and judge from the start, if we have the time to, as multiple people are mid lane.
Yeah, well, there's the flash, and the pillar comes in with the last breath. Stunning setup to come in from Spirit, and they're easily going to be able to move towards this outer turret.
And Afreeca just illustrating that where they were finally able to win in the draft, which was around getting the top lane matchup they want, they've doubled down. They had a huge lead through Aatrox versus Gangplank, where SKT played the yakety swaps to get to. They haven't been able to take a lead. They're actually just going even on the bot side, whereas the winning lane for Afreeca is blowing the game over.
Yeah, out of the water. 30 CS is going to be the lead here for Keen. He's back towards that top side. Not too much to be gained, really, by that second kill that goes to Afreeca. Wanted to be able to take down that turret, but they do get themselves the cannon barrage, meaning that Keen can probably put on a whole lot more pressure up their top side. SKT clawing back the vision game very nicely.
They do not have the GP ult to make this a trivial dive, but they have fully invested 4 members.
Speaking of dives, this one ain't trivial either, Papa, as he gets the landing, but there's a real nice stopwatch. And Keen, he doesn't actually go down to the Bloodwell. Oh, and hits the Q! Hell yeah, Aatrox.
Able to turn it around, doesn't die to the last turret shot. That baits the GP to walk forward. And that was a walk to his death. Not the best look for Tal, who was supposed to be much more reliable this season. Tough first ask against Keen, but Keen is certainly on form in this game. He's now 2-0-0. Everyone else is farming. No deaths yet for Afreeca. In a game of swaps, the swaps have only benefited Afreeca Freecs.
They have, but I mean, it's only translated to kills. We're even on turrets, and we're very even on gold as well. You mentioned Tal, he's 0-2-0, but if we slipped over to the gold, I mean, when that cull gets finished, it's going to be a scary time. But that's a Rage Blade completed by Keen, as you indicated just then to me, Papa Smithy, and that is a very, very scary thing to deal with.
Rage Blade and soon-to-be Titanic Hydra. The double procs you get, and remember, if you're able to synergize the Phantom hit onto the aggressive part of the W. I actually don't know the name of the skill, but the damaging rather than sustaining part of his toggle ability, it's some redonkulous damage.
I'm not going to lie to you, I've only remembered a few of the Aatrox abilities.
All right, quizzing you, what are they?
I remember the Bloodwell passive.
Yeah, me too.
And I know the Dark Flight as his knocker. And I know the lines on the ground is it's out of his hands. That's the other one. Because why would he's about to get reworked, Papa? I just feel like it's work that we don't need to do.
That's good. That's good. Conserve your energy, Atlas. Conserve your brain. You need to use all of it.
I need to learn all of the other ridiculous stuff that's happened. Is there's the Impale landing onto Aiming, but in goes the Hemo Plague from Kuro. Can they turn this one around? I don't know about it because Keen's turned up into this fight. He flashes forward. Can they kite the Aatrox? This has been a problem for him in the past. And Tal's topside just continuing to push. They do make it a 1-for-1 in the end as Wolf goes down. But with Tal able to free push on the top side and continue to stack up that money, this is good news for SKT.
In many ways, it proves worth for SKT. The only thing Afreeca can say is, summoners are down, let's force an objective soon, because it does end up a 1-for-1 with more invested. They finally get on to Aiming, who's pulled through the Q knockup from the Steel Tempest. He eventually goes down through all of this, and because, like you mentioned, the game requires Aatrox to close a lot of distance, not the strongest thing about him. By the time he does, he DPSs out 3. He's zoning 3 people. That's powerful. But they only get a 1-for-1. They do lose a turret. They don't have a gold lead. Even getting a turret means they have 500 gold, now 300 gold behind. Still a good thing for the side of SKT, and if you look at numbers, this can show you that total damage dealt is a pretty useless stat.
It is certainly sometimes not what you necessarily need in order to see how a game has worked out. But Keen going for the Darkflight Flash was a bit of a problem. I would have assumed that Flash Darkflight probably would have been a better option as far as the fact that he could get some knockups, keep that fight rolling. Of course, aiming wasn't alive at the time, so going to be something that really going to hold against him. Rabbidan's Deathcap almost done here for Kuro, though. You mentioned 2-item spikes. That's certainly going to make one happy Vladimir.
And a conundrum for Doosan. Who we Zeke's convergencing between the no Infinity Edge Yasuo and the Aatrox popping off.
I think if the Aatrox is anywhere near you, you want it to be him, but he's probably going to be hanging out with aiming a little bit more often.
So going to be a really nice spike coming through as I see 3 Aegis in the inventory for the side of SKT. That's probably triple banner. It could be a Zeke's on Skarner, so it could be double banner, but Banner of Command is going to be in multiple roles on the side of SKT. Trying to make Keen accountable when his teleport is down, most likely.
Entirely sure what the plural is for Aegis, but for another time is SKT. Looking at this Rift Herald, Afreeca Freecs turn up though. With Kuro, perfect flank positioning with that Predator. It's going to be difficult, doesn't have it available.
Only range champions are the kind of small range of Rakan and of Vladimir. So sieging is still something that's holding back Afreeca, who know they have a combat advantage. They want SKT to come to them, so starting a Rift Herald, that's a pretty good start.
Yeah. Now going to be able to get that one down. It's going to be blue buff going over to Faker, so not even going to contest this one. So Spirit going to have that purple buff, can release Shelly into the world whenever he wants, but Tal has really been given his run of the area. Is Keen only just making his way towards this bottom side?
Don't believe that will help him in the 1v1. That's his struggle. If the game goes long enough, having 3 to 4 items and Infinity Edge perhaps thrown in there, but more damage will be helpful for the big barrels for the 1v1. Feels like perhaps too much has already been granted to Keen on this Aatrox. We'll focus in, we'll zero in on what's in front of us, which is the items starting to roll, and Double Trinity Force is there for SKT. That part feels good. Feels like some of those amplification items like the Death Cap, and I believe it will be the Zeke's Convergence, are about to once again tip Afreeca over in the scales, but there's no guarantee that Afreeca will be able to just run at SKT and win a 5v5.
Not to mention aiming doing the very best he can to push towards that Infinity Edge as fast as possible. He's not going to have too many BF swords in the inventory after this next back, but I have a feeling he will be getting relatively close. He's actually just going to be able to afford one at the moment. Infinity Edge just feels so bad to buy because it's so clunky with the big expensive components. But that's a Titanic Hydra done for Keen. So 2-item spike certainly there, but Tal, I mean, now he's managed to get that Sterix. This Gangplank has made it past the majority of the very difficult times. Of course, probably still can't fight Keen, but it's not what it's going to be about moving into any sort of team fight territory.
Can't fight Keen, but doesn't die straight up to Keen instantly, which is also important. He needs to be able to be competitive, because remember, he throws out an ultimate, and Aatrox takes a while to teleport, and that is the advantage the Gangplank has over most of his opponents in a side lane. Time to play through. Speaking of playing through, we do have the Rift Herald available to be summoned for Tron, who's actually topside, so not trying to find the mid lane turret. They can't get deep vision bot or topside, so not feeling safe enough to just take the mid lane turret straight up. And in fact, they're looking for a gank first and foremost.
Yeah, well, Faker not going to have a lot of options as far as getting away, but he does have a Stands United here. Can they do enough damage is the question, and Faker, he's trying to turn this one around. Tal gets here as well with the teleport, and Tucson, is he going to be enough? Not. Definitely not, as Kuro is just going to get taken out. Keen, very late teleport is going to get him into the party, as there is a couple of knockups for Keen. He can't do anything, and SKT running away with the fight. A disaster for Afreeca.
Afreeca could have just played a Rift Herald play, but instead they get greedy, think they can get a kill, but don't play around the ults to Shen and the Gangplank. Able to get in. Teleports late from Keen, and this could just be Baron SKT.
Yeah, and there's a ward in this pit, but it's being denied by the control ward that's already there. Not a lot of options here whatsoever. Keen too far away. Getting pinged out of the way of this Baron pit, and that is a very easy 22-minute Baron for SKT. The poor man's Mountain Drake comes in. Afreeca Freecs utilize aiming to try and take that one down. Man, it feels like they've thrown away any sort of lead opportunity on the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
Gold was competitive the entire time, but you could see there were things that Afreeca had that SKT couldn't answer. That thing was Keen on the Aatrox, and he just wasn't there. He teleports second. Tala's been criticized for teleports in the past. That was a smart teleport on Gangplank, a champion who usually is second to every fight. Seems like Keen was napping for half a moment. The rest of Afreeca was saying go, go, go. And all they were able to do was make their own demise more expedient because they give up a Baron, it feels like, against the balance of play.
Yeah. And also aiming didn't rotate very quickly. Keen with the late teleport. There were so many things that seemed like Afreeca had a whole lot of different ideas and none of them meshed very well together. Vision coming down here and now bannered up. Baron minions. They've got another banner ready to go here as Keen wants to try and jump his way forward. In goes Tucson. There's the knockups, and this could be the damage party for the Afreeca Freecs. It's a late Emo Plague, but it's still going to be able to grab a kill onto Wolf. Look at all of the damage. Double comes down for Kuro, and this is the kind of fight Afreeca Freecs were looking for. Faker could be in a whole lot of trouble, but can they actually catch up to him is the question. Not a blast cone available here, and he is going to get slowed. And he's going to try and fight it out. Nice triple apprehend, but that's not going to do it.
That sort of wombo that was not available on the top side because they weren't in the same spot this time. Tucson does his Rakan thing. The Rift Herald's been slowly plodding along. It's been the least excited Rift Herald in a while, but gets the job done nonetheless. SKT had to group because they wanted to get something out of the Baron, but the grouping was turned against them. Nice wombo from Afreeca.
Yeah, really nice. And also able to get some assists onto aiming. Probably would have liked some of the kills to get him towards that Infinity Edge that we were talking about earlier on. Wants that 100% crit. At the moment, doesn't have nearly enough.
So let's watch the replay. Note that we see Trundle in a Warriors. They think, okay, there won't be an engage, but Tucson's done this again and again. The first knock-up is always going to mean the second, the third, and also all of the AoE damage. And even though Faker picks up one kill, 3 members of his team are dead. No way to get a reset party for the Darius. Nicely done, Afreeca Freecs.
There is absolutely no way that Gangplank and Darius stay in a fight for very long at all. I just feel like you cannot ever stand up and fight Keen on open ground. It's just never something that you're going to be able to do.
And you're going to have to add his cohort aiming very soon as we see 2 BF swords and know that 100% crit is going to be available to him very soon. Only gets worse in the Wombo side. They were able to get a small advantage, but the Baron now has not been a Baron power play. In fact, it might have been a negative Baron power play. Would be very close to a 0, all things considered when it comes to the gold taken from that. However, they do have 3 banners. 2 in a locket, we should say. They throw down the 2 banners, and they try to make Afreeca come to them.
Afreeca at the moment just trying to clear out minion waves as this Baron has another 10 seconds to go, so still need to be a bit respectful. And Faker pushing up towards the bottom side. So much damage to champions coming in for Keen in the last fight. That's what we were talking about. It's an opportunity that was given to him. But look at SKT, speaking of opportunities, able to utilize Faker's split push to take down yet another turret. It is 4-3, putting SKT in the lead. So that last one went down.
That's why double banner being in the game this patch is actually pretty relevant for how SKT want to play out this game. You know, they're still smarting from the last fight. They understand the grouping side of things is going to be very tricky. If you put double banner in one lane, you know that the enemy has to send multiple allies to try to repel, and then Darius in a side lane, Gangplank in a side lane, even Lulu in a side lane can do some damage to turrets. Now, is that going to get you an inhibitor? Maybe not, but it does get more immediate gold. It does, once again, put a bit of breathing room in terms of overall gold between the 2 teams. It's very much a rotational game plan with the double banner that's coming out from SKT.
Well, I thought that actually missed the control ward that was in that brush, but Blank is able to find it with the Scryer's Bloom. Tucson going to be able to clear out that ward with the help of Spirit's Pillar. Now Kuro splitting on the bottom side of the map. 1-3-1 actually working out quite well for the Afreeca Freecs. Now that Kuro's picked up a bunch of items, and Infinity Edge is now there for aiming. Could be like a 1-1-1 with a couple of, you know, with Tucson and Spirit just roaming around wherever the heck they want, because we've got a lot of split push champions here available for the Afreeca Freecs. Not often you get to talk about a triple split pusher when one of them isn't even the jungler.
Meanwhile, SKT's comp is line a wave clear with the Ludens and the ability power stacking from Bang, put down a banner of command, and then try to find somewhere else on the map where you can make something happen. With Inferno not on the map, Baron not on the map, not going to prove too much. All we can really do is inspect ward lines. Both teams pretty defensive overall in their wars. No one really controls either the Drake or the Baron area. You can see SKT making their first moves to control the Infernal Drake spawn. Baron 30 seconds behind that one.
Yeah. Well, now you can see Infernal Drake certainly is on the minds of both teams, but the defensive vision is set up closer to Afreeca's base, and very, very spread vision for SKT around that Infernal, looking like it will be a dragon apiece, these two teams.
To me, the way this works is you get a pick with the Skarner, and you kill that person, because that's really the only way SKT have enough damage to actually find a lead. It feels like 5v5 Death Bowl, they lose 100% of the time. Getting the exclusive vision to make that pick, and now double QSS complete means Vladimir or Yasuo or Rakan are your really only options. That again starts to make things a little bit more tricky. I guess the theory is, we already mentioned the pushing, push a lane and then try to cut into the enemy jungle and pick someone when they try to come and stop a promoted minion. I can understand that theory, but actually in practice it seems so specific that I think Afreeca will just play in the open and stop that happening.
Yeah, and also they've got a banded up minion on the top side of the map as well, so
Darius
they're pretty happy
around
to
the
do
bot
this.
side of this. Watch that.
Yeah, the Darius flank coming in from Faker could be an opportunity here for SKT, but they decide to give up the dragon completely. No opportunity to get in there. They didn't have the Crystal Spire either. As SKT, they also have reasons to start up around these neutral objectives as well for the extra power given over to Blank, but he is definitely just a role player. If you see the items that he's picked up, Knight's Vow as well as Banner of the Command of his own. 2-1 and 2 is a very good scoreline, especially considering Blank's performance in Game 1.
Moments like that, you see how quickly someone is flanking to someone is out of position. So you could see they were not going to go instantly on when Darius went bot side. Then he's not there to fight 5v5, so they can't commit. End up giving up an Inferno, which doesn't feel good with all the damage already been piled onto people like Kuro, Aiming, and Keen. Baron is the next objective. They don't have vision supremacy. It's not easy for them to get a pick. How does SKT recreate the way they got their lead in this game? Because remember, that was more about Afreeca just over-indexing on how much damage they could do to a single person without Keen involved.
And now Keen should have something like Asterix when he goes back to base, is going to be able to complete that one right now. And with Double Mountain Infernal, how close is Keen just to being able to solo the Baron?
Lifesteal's not there yet, but
he's got his W.
If there was a Blade of the Ruined King, and Baron is kind of at a lower power level right now after a couple of nerfs recently.
Yeah.
Soloing is always difficult, but if he had a banner, I might be inclined to believe Atlas.
Yep. Not like the
Not
Master...
a banner, a Blade of the Ruined.
Yeah, Blade of the Ruined King. Not like the Master Yi's in all of our games that try and solo Baron at 23 minutes almost every single time and just die.
They have a fast Baron, we'll say that much.
Oh yeah.
Kind of have to commit to it, and they don't turn as well as you might imagine because they're melee champions. They don't have a true tank to tank it up, so while they'd love a team fight, you don't want to fall too low taking Baron to actually make that happen. But it's cool this game has been a lot closer in reality than it has necessarily been when it feels like Keen was just a huge pressure valve alone. SKT have been able to play around the power of Aatrox really well and make it a very competitive 31 minutes.
All the pings coming out from the Afreeca Freecs on the top side of the map. SKT, you can see, looking to try and push this mid wave in, start up a fight 4v5 if they can find it. And now that there's no Yasuo vision on the top side of the map, not going to be able to have the opportunity as in goes Tucson, gets the quickness as well, there's the last breath. Everyone's in amongst the fight for the Afreeca Freecs, and the health bars of SKT are evaporating. It's a double already for Kuro, and everyone's running for the hills on the side of SKT.
They're waiting for their moment, Aiming groups up, and Rakan knows the range. That last breath, oh so well. They get the CC duo, they get the Baron, and there's no way for SKT to stop this.
Yeah, this just feels like it's been tipped over. The game was so close. SKT had that one fight, turned it into a Baron. They still haven't been able to get quite over the line. What is the opportunity now for this team, and what can Afreeca Freecs get from this Baron?
And remember, we were robbed of Tucson's Rakan in the final of the LCK, banned every time by Kingzone Dragon X. That started the wombo, finished by Kuro and Keen, diving in AoE upon AoE. Press on, run at them, makes its triumphant return 6 years later. They pick up the Baron from it, and with their Baron, You best believe they might be considering another turret dive to try and end the game.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Keen is just so extraordinarily strong. Didn't manage to pick up any extra items because just didn't have enough room because everything was too expensive. Sitting on a stopwatch turned into that GA as well as the QSS to the Mercurial Scimitar, so he needs a lot of money in his back pocket if he's going to get there, but probably has a fair bit at the moment, having completed the Sterix gauge a few minutes ago.
I'm greedy. I want the Essence Reaver Aatrox. Think of the Darkflights.
Oh my goodness, he'd be all over, but you'd never auto-attack. You're just actually bouncing around the fight.
I'm okay. A Bouncy Castle comp was big last season. Let's have a new one. Aatrox only.
Hey, that's true. You could just sell the Rage Play because you're never going to stack it, right? Like, you just get a couple of auto-attacks and they keep flying. Oh, what? Sounds good to me.
The item timings sound pretty good to Afreeca Freecs fans. Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
Finished for the Yasuo. As you mentioned, just kind of waiting with bated breath to see what the decision is from the Aatrox, sitting on a mountain of gold. Finally, their first gold lead of the game in a while, you have to say. Only 400, so still plenty of gold on SKT, and the right barrel length will do some damage as well.
Yeah, and they do have 2 waves pushing as well. You can see there's a Banner of Command minion on the bottom side of the map and a big wave on the top side. So this is the only option for the Afreeca Freecs, just looking to try and defend this bannered up Baron minion that has so much range and is chunking out this turret still.
No way for them to try to close the distance here, SKT, and get to it, though.
This dive is just happening. Not any options, as Bang is just so scared to try and get up there, even for a Glitterlance, and that inhibitor just melts. Just try and tank things up on the top side if they want to, or just go for the win maybe on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. This is frightening. They don't want to overextend.
That minion wave's working with them. You do see the assist ping next to, I believe, a banded up minion. Can't tell on our small monitor, maybe not.
Yeah, the bottom lane has actually, I believe, is
no.
No, it's not. Okay, I thought
actually really tricky to tell on our monitor.
Yeah, I thought there was a banded up minion on the bottom side, but maybe I was wrong.
Come on, Observer. Spare our blushes. There is now, anyway.
Yeah, there certainly is, but I thought there was one for SKT. Maybe it died. There is now one in the mid lane, but that has to contend with super creeps, and this is an inner turret, not one that SKT wants to be trying to defend.
Continue to walk up, and you know that so many setups can happen here. Just a pillar can spell a knock-up party from the side of Afreeca. Another turret taking, looking for a second inhibitor on the bot side.
I think we know exactly who's going to be starting this party, though, as Tucson does have the quickness available yet again. There's no flash in there, but Tucson wants to start another beautiful one like he did around the Baron.
But what is SKT to do? The Glitterland's 40% damage reduction isn't going to be doing anything. They need to aggro like Wolf is onto the minion, and able to do that, and Afreeca just decide, okay, let's back away from this. We don't need to get too tricky around that objective. They back away. Elder has just spawned. 4 of them in position. Notice the Vladimir's gone to base. Maybe SKT know this. Of course, they only have an inkling. See the back away. We see the Rift Scuttler picked up. No Elder yet, but with the minions in the base, feels like SKT have many more questions than they have answers.
Yeah. Keen does have his teleport, so he can head towards the top side if they want to. He is going to do just that. This Elder Drake is going to be started once again. Another ward goes over into the pit, but you can see there's a lot of spread resources on both sides. Top laners just doing cleanup duty. This is going down extraordinarily fast with aiming and Kuro having a lot of damage. The releash does come in. Teleports will have to happen relatively soon.
They know Aatrox isn't here.
Is very important. Teleport going to be first used by Keen, and this dragon is still leashed. Keen will be able to do a lot of damage to this, but it's still going to be a smite up. In goes Tucson, and there's the last breath as well. Immediately Blank is destroyed, and they've got an Elder Drake now to do so much of the work. Faker will be taken down to the GA as Tal just running for the hills. Not a lot that he can do here on this top side, but at least a couple more of SKT's members did escape. Bang and Wolf, the only ones alive. But for how much longer, Papa?
Game will end from this push, Atlas. Nothing that they're going to be able to do. That's what happens if you walk up, and SKT were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. Afreeca just says, hey, Elder's just a place you'll walk up to. We're ready to fight. They get the fight they want, and they're going to win this series.
They certainly are. It's going to be the Nexus turrets now under fire. Afreeca Freecs, so much damage. Keen, a brilliant performance this game, but it was a team effort and a comeback performance in the mid-game that really did seal the deal, and a 2-0 for Afreeca Freecs in their first match of 2018 Summer.
A very well-earned 2-0, and while it was with champions that we don't see every day, while it was certainly new meta, this was far from a fiesta for me because Afreeca definitely engineered their own success. Game 1, super supreme cleanup of SKT, and then in Game 2, we saw SKT make the extra gamble of sending Faker bot lane. They desperately wanted Darius versus Yasuo. That's a winning matchup. Let's get it at any cost. The cost of sending the best mid laner in history into a side lane just to get the matchup. Meanwhile, Afreeca said, they're going to get a lead somewhere. Let's minimize that and then get a winning lane in top. And through Keen, they found their early advantages. They did make a mistake. They were not flawless in this series, but largely every good moment from this series was calculated stuff from Afreeca Freecs, and they are your deserving 2-0 winners.
Yeah. Incredible performance from Afreeca in Game 1. A much closer game in Game 2. Feel all of the SKT fans here in the Soli Stadium were ready for game number 3. It felt like in the mid-game there were opportunities, but this fight, Keen just did so much work, as well as just the layering of CC and the initiation from Tucson being brilliant on his extraordinarily famous now Rakan. And aiming, I mean, it was a pretty subdued Yasuo performance, but he got himself back on his feet after what was a pretty terrible early game.
All you can say for aiming is he wasn't playing his marksman, he was playing new stuff and largely convinced us. Better in Game 1, of course, than game number 2. But the Yasuo being a little bit held down by Darius most of the time, and then the Lulu as well, was not consequential in the end. His items came later, but they were online very early for his teammates, and that was fine for SKT. The question marks will still remain. It feels like the spring problems have not necessarily been solved in summer. Unfortunately, blank 2 games on Skarner has not made anyone a believer. Whereas the Afreeca Freecs, who certainly were the sort of team that could potentially have fallen away after being so close to winning LCK Spring, are triumphant in saying, we scrim the most, we practice the most, we'll be ready. They certainly were.
Oh my goodness, heck yeah they were. And Kuro picking up the most damage somehow. It was actually Tal that was able to get more damage than Keen. The barrel linking in the late game and the cannon barrage certainly helping him out there, but Keen still able to whack his way to victory that game. Felt like the damage that he did do was a lot more relevant in this game, but who is going to be the MVP? Papa, you and I had different choices, but it is going to be Tucson. I felt like Keen possibly deserved it with the fact that he was really the only one able to get things done in a very positive sense in the early game, but I guess in a winning matchup means that Tucson's certainly the one that was able to navigate these fights in the late game.
Keen manufactured the lead that was expected. Tucson won the game, and that's why I gave the extra emphasis onto Tucson. Rakan is an eminently flashy champion, but when the flashiness leads into so much destruction, it's hard to look past almost our first support MVP. Tucson couldn't quite get over the line. It was BDD as a solo MVP, a couple of hundred behind. It was Tucson. But beautiful stuff from him, beautiful stuff from Afreeca, and to me, they have been the standout team with 8 teams so far having played.
Yeah, Tucson has been an incredible standout support there as well, so couldn't be upset at all. Great to see Afreeca Freecs performing on a similar level to how they finished, because it was a little bit upsetting to see Kingzone fall from grace a little bit in our first series of the day. Afreeca, this was expected of them, and incredibly dominant. Tucson well-deserved MVP.
Now we roll onto the MVP interviews.
Yeah, we are going to have the MVP interview, so it's going to be Tucson and Spirit. So take it away, Andy, with the translation.
An upset has been made as Afreeca Freecs takes down SKT with a clean 2-0 victory. So we are now here for the post-game interview with Keen and Tucson. Spirit and Tucson. So congratulations on your win. You guys seem a little exhausted right now. No, your eyes are bloodshot, and you guys seem exhausted. Hello, I'm Spirit, the jungler for Afreeca Freecs. And the god of initiating, Tucson.
서포터를 맡고 있는 투신.
Hello, I'm the support player for Afreeca Freecs, Tusin.
굉장히 오랜만에 멋진 승리를 거두기도 했는데 이제
No.
경기 끝나고
It was such a terrific victory for you guys.
선수가 투신 선수한테 이렇게 열심히 하는 걸 나는 처음 봤다.
And then Spirit, you commented that you've never seen Tusin play this hard, try this hard before.
경기에서 종이기가 거의 뭐 혼자
You know, in the second set, Tusin was pretty much the most instrumental player to the team.
하나씩 다.
You know, he was initiating everything, making every plays.
너 진짜 오인분한 것 같다.
You know, I thought he was pretty much worst 5 players.
있을 거 아니에요.
최근에 제 자신으로 좀 자신감 좀 없었는데.
You know, recently I felt like I need to step up my game.
좀더 열심히 했는데 그게 좀 그렇게 잘.
And then I'm currently striving to work harder. You know, people's perception is that the current meta is really well suited to Afreeca Freecs.
저희 팀의 코칭 스태프분들이랑 감독님이랑 그냥 너무 이런 쪽으로 좀 대단하신.
You know, our coaching staff and coaches are really great in a way that they're able to help us achieve our perfect form.
코칭 스태프가 대단하다고 또 공을 돌리기도 하셨지만 사실
You just said that the coaching staff are very instrumental to your victory as well.
트리스타나부터 이제 파격적인 그런 거에 대한 시도를
You know, Spirit, you are like good at playing those creative junglers like Tristana jungle and those kinds of things. What do you think?
원해도 용서된다는 거는 좀 아닌 것 같고요.
You know,
네, 그냥
I still try to
물론 제가
find those really good junglers in the current meta.
그거에 대해서 좀 데이터를 가져다 드리면 이제 객관적으로
You know, I gather up those data and then I bring it to my coaching staff, and then the coaching staff examines it, and then they decide if it's worth playing in the tournament.
거의 못 볼 지경인데 진짜 정글러 입장에서 생각할 때 탈리아 너무 괜찮고 그렇게 사기적이라고.
You know, in the jungler's perspective, do you think Talia jungle right now is really OP?
솔랭에서 좀 만나봤나 봐요. 만난 것 같긴 한데 개인적으로는 정말 괜찮은 픽이라고.
You know, personally, I feel like it's a really good pick.
저희가 이제 다채로운 픽과 그런 어떤 다양한 게 나올 수 있는 정글러의 자유로움 뭐 이런 걸
You know, current meta allows a lot of various junglers to appear.
메타가 바뀌었다고 하는데 솔직히 서포터 플레이하는 입장에서 결국 하는 건 막 라칸으로 몸에 이니시를 해야 되고 뭔가 서포터 입장에서 울분을 토할 수도 있는 거잖아요.
You know, as a support player,
원딜이 좀 아니라는 것도 좀 생각.
do you prefer those like champs that are able to make those initiations? You know, like these days, I feel like the ADCs aren't those kinds of ADCs. You know, we have those melee ADCs, and the meta is kind of out of control. I feel like overall, it's gotten more fun in a way. It's more entertaining to play the laning phase. You know, a lot of those really weird picks like Yasuo ADC, Vladimir ADC. What do you think about those? You know, a lot of those ADC players are playing those ADCs that aren't really ADCs, like those Mordekaiser picks. So you know, they can't be really proficient in those picks. So yeah, I feel like they probably should just revert back to the traditional ADCs. Yeah, you just commented that the ADC players are playing champions that they are not used to and that they are less proficient in the way. Okay, let's look at the highlight reel of Spirit. Okay, this was your bot gank. And did you think you would die? Yes, I thought I would die, but I somehow made it alive. And then, yeah, and then Tusin went in and died. Yeah, so I knew that Nocturne, I knew Skarner was inside there, so I went in, I rushed there, and I tried to help my teammates.
만약에 저기서 좀 허무하게 터졌다면은 녹턴 궁쿨이 돌아오기 직전에 오히려 아프리카가 손해를 볼 수도 있는 위험한 상황이.
You know, it was a really dangerous situation where Afreeca Freecs could have made a lot of deficit, but it turned out alright.
이 장면은 어떻게 보면 승기를 조금 더 굳힌 거고 사실 게임
You know, I think this moment is where Afreeca Freecs really solidify their win.
탑쪽 골렘에서 스카너를 보자마자 거기서 전면을 빼는 게 저는 엄청 크게 영향을 주지 않나 싶거든요. 그런 것도 어느 정도 좀 설계를 하신 건가요?
You know, your performance definitely helping out your teammates a lot.
그래가지고 작골에 와드도 부탁했고 레이스 쪽에서 원래
You know, I asked my teammates to ward a lot, and then looking at those wards, I can remake my jungling pass.
위치는 다르긴 했지만 어느 정도 설계를 한 거네요 실제로.
네네네.
So you had everything in mind before going in.
요즘 메타가 워낙 빠르고 빠른 갱킹 때문에 게임이 터지는 경우도 많아요.
You know, the current meta is really fast-paced, and due to this fast-paced
오히려 좀
meta, the games really finish quickly.
애매한 것 같아요.
아 그래서
Yeah, I feel like the current meta is a little ambiguous in a way.
전적은 1승 3패 그렇게 좋진 않더라고요.
제가요?
네.
그런가 봐요.
오늘 이제 2승 3패로 약간 좀 올렸는데 원래도 좋아하던 카드였네 아니면 지금 메타에서
So, was Nocturne your favorite champion?
그게 날아가는 거잖아요.
네.
You know, the
그러니까 많이
champion,
걸려가지고 팀에서 좀 막았었거든요.
champion just flies,
그런 스킬이다 보니까
and my teammates were very reluctant to see my Nocturne.
이제 그런 피드백을 열심히
And the current win rate for my Nocturne is 2 wins, 3 losses.
그러면은 뭐 투신 선수 입장에서는 녹턴 궁 쓸 때 뭐 불안하고 이런 거 없어요? 연습
So
과정.
Tusin, are you worried when Spirit uses Paranoia on Nocturne?
실제로 아까 탑에서
Yes, a little bit.
3인 갱킹 엄청 멋있는 것도 성공시키기도 하셨으니까 그런 이야기를 또 해주신 것 같습니다. 자 그럼 이어서 또 투신 선수의 활약 관련 이 세트
now
이야기를 해야 되는데
let's have a look at Tusin's highlight.
그러면 보고 저희가 계속해서 이야기 한번 나눠보도록 하겠습니다.
상대가 바론을 먹고 진격하는 타이밍인데 타격적으로 혹시 어떻게
So you just made a perfect initiation right there.
못 지우는 조합이라서 실어갈 수가 없어서 제가 무조건 걸어야 무조건
You know, I was forced to initiate, otherwise our team could have done nothing.
무조건 걸어야겠다 싶어서 걸었는데 좀 한타 잘 열린 것 같아요.
And you know, I just went in and just opened up the team fight, and every team fight we came out on top, so I was fortunate.
억지로 건것 같아요.
아 그럼 실제 미드 한타 같은 경우에는 뭐 이긴다는 확신을 갖고 봤다라는 느낌보다는 여기서 승부수를 걸어야 된다.
So rather than having this 100%
좋았다고 생각해요. 이긴다는 각은 없었는데
100% confidence that you would win the team fight, you just went in solidly and then just made the initiation.
상대 이제 페이커와 뱅이 계속 라인 싸움을 하는 장면이 또 아주
You know, the opponents, SKT, Faker and Bang, you know, kept iterate, they kept lane swapping. And what do you think about that?
저희 팀은 뭐 그런 상황 같은 것도 많이 겪어봤기 때문에
You know, we've already experienced a lot of lane swapping in the past, so we're quite used to it, actually.
10인 이 로스터 시스템이 이런 굉장히 급변하는 메타 속에서 엄청 큰 힘이 된다라고 저희가 뭐 해석해도 될까요?
그렇죠. 이제 다른 5명 지금 경기에 안 나온 다른 5명 친구들이 알고 보면은 숨은 MVP라고 할
You know, all the other 5 players that didn't play today, the subs, they are really instrumental to the team as well, so you know, they play an important role in our victory as well.
솔로답게 아트록스로 진짜 잘했잖아요.
You know, Keen showed exceptional performance on the Aatrox.
성장하고 더 무서워지고 있는
You know, I think the rookie Keen is really evolving quickly.
이제 이번 경기를 하면서 저희 미드 탑이 조금 계속 바쁘게 움직이면서 그 중간 중간에 손해도 많이 봤다고 생각하는데.
You know, in today's games, our mid and top really they were roaming a lot, and then while they were roaming, they faced a lot of deficit as well. But I'm glad they played really well.
하나씩 이제 분담해서 했던 것 같아요.
확실히 좀 뭐 든든함이 사전에 느껴진 건 아니지만은 게임 내에서 굉장히 큰 힘이 됐다 이런 말씀을 해주신 것 같습니다. 어쨌든 또 이제 서머 시작을 기분 좋게.
So now you guys claim your first victory in the summer split.
당연히 목표로 하실 것 같아요. 또 많이 응원해 주시러 오신 팬분들 그리고 지켜보시는 팬분들에게.
So would you like to say a few words to your fans who are here to cheer for you?
이번에 2대 0으로 이겨서 좀 스타트를 좀 기분 좋게 끄는 것 같아요.
You know,
이 분위기 좀
we won 2-0 with a clean victory, so we are really happy. And please continue to cheer for us.
스피릿 선수도 팬분들께 한마디 드릴까요?
And Spirit, you?
오늘 1경기만큼 2경기는 그렇게 깔끔하게 이기지 못했는데
No, unlike the first set, second set was a little shaky, but I'm glad we won 2-0.
정말 다들 감사합니다.
And thank you guys.
네, 멋진 인사 감사합니다. 준비하는 만큼 다양한 걸로
Thank you very much,
재미있게 또
Andy.
멋진 승리 거둘 수 있기
And thank
때문에
you guys for your
앞으로
interview.
아프리카의 경기가 더욱더 기대되는 게 아닌가 싶습니다. 아프리카 승리 축하드리면서 인터뷰는 여기서 인사드리도록
Win,
하겠습니다.
Afreeca Freecs.
감사합니다.
All right, thanks very much, Andy. And wow, Afreeca Freecs, incredible performance, and great to hear from Tucson and Spirit. Tucson, the last team fight, just going in. And didn't even really know that they were going to win, just really wanted to engage.
The trust was real, and while Afreeca Freecs did have a couple of lulls in that play, both in the figurative and the effective sense, they were able to close it out. Game 1 was a clinic from them. To me, still the most impressive team in Korea on patch 8.11. Fittingly, because their name starts with A, they jump ahead of MVP and are currently our #1 ranked team. And that means there's one order of business left if we're going to play through every team in the league. We still haven't seen KT and Jinair, and they play after what is going to be a decent-sized break.
Yeah, it's going to be about a 45-minute break, I think, after all is said and done before we're into that one. It is going to be Korean Standard Time 7:50. Not entirely sure what that is all over the world because I am terrible at working out what these time zone differences are, but it's going to be very exciting to see what Jinair and especially, in my mind, KT are going to bring to 8-11. Not to put any bias into it, but damn, KT have done some crazy stuff.
And will we see Kakao against his old squad? There's a possibility. We still haven't seen the roster.
That's a good question, and it's always the rush question as well. So who's going to be playing? We'll have to find out after a decent break, guys. So go get a snack, come back soon.